Welcome everyone back to another Dragon Ball Legends video. Today we're going to be talking about a number of different things, including but not limited to some of my predictions for the upcoming anniversary. We're going to talk about why there's confusion about the release date of the game and just why the anniversary is scheduled the way it is. There's a lot of different things. So if you guys enjoy, of course, hit that subscribe if you are new. If at any point I say anything you can relate to or I say anything you want to add to or whatever the case is, feel free to join in on the conversation. But right now I want to ask you guys today's question of the day. Let me know in the comments section down below what you would like to see versus what you expect for the anniversary. Like, I think it's pretty safe to say we're probably not going to get Ultra Instinct Goku, but like we might get something else. So let me know what you guys want to see versus what you expect. Anyways, that being said, who knows? Let's jump in. So, the pre-anniversary login bonus. This is a data mined image in the game's files. This login bonus has not begun yet. According to Renzi, it does actually begin on the 26th. So that is Sunday. It goes all the way until the following Friday. So it's up for about a week. Now, the timeline for that is it ends on the 31st. He said he wasn't able to find the in-between images and stuff like that, but probably going to get added within the next few days or whatever the case is. So he might be back for another discussion whenever we do get those files. So this is interesting because technically speaking, the game has been out in certain areas for over a year now. I'm at, I believe, 381 days logged in. Let me go ahead and explain what's happening there. I always said that when the game initially released, right, it actually got released in, I believe, the Netherlands first. Now, I have videos that I did at the time, right? So this one actually was uploaded on the 7th of May last year, and it was just a guide on how to use a VPN and get the game at the time, which is when I began playing the game. It was in English and everything, so you didn't have to do anything crazy. It was saying coming soon, and then, of course, as you transition, I'll show you guys how to get rid of that. So at that time, again, it had just came out on the 7th. We are already past the 7th, so technically we are already over a year since initial release. Other than that, I come back and I chart it again. On the 17th is when the game was officially launched on Android in some more areas, right? They do say on this tweet that I'm highlighting here, the Android version will be released, the Europe version will be released soon after, and the launch for other regions in iOS is coming soon. So you see they weren't fully out yet. At the time, they were just releasing the game in chunks in areas at a time. We move on from this. I don't really have the full-on date that it released in all those other areas. Long story short, the reason why there's confusion around this is because the game's been out for a long time, but it wasn't out everywhere at the time yet. So since that's the case, obviously, they're trying to have the anniversary not just at the initial release date, but more in line with more releases, basically worldwide. And that takes me to a celebration that we had a while ago, right? Celebrating 100 days of our global release. Now, this was back in the beginning of September, and 100 days prior to this, literally, would have been the end of May, I believe. So towards that area. So you can kind of see a little bit of a trend there. So 100 days is what they're considering for this celebration, which takes us to the end of May. Also, the pre-anniversary celebration goes a couple days. I believe it was like 29th for this, but the pre-anniversary stuff goes to the 31st. So that last week of May, beginning week of June is what they're going to start using for their anniversary. We'll find out, of course, in the next couple of weeks what the literal day they're going to use is. But just keep that in mind if you wanted to chart and kind of track when the game will release and the anniversary will release and stuff like that. So moving on. We're going to talk about, well, I guess, because I already have it, I didn't really report on this, but the V-Jumps did come out this week. So Shallot apparently will be able to go Super Saiyan or Super Saiyan 2. And they're also mentioning that you can choose between them in the customization screen. So there are V-Jump scans for this. Now, this is actually interesting. And this is like, whatever. This is interesting, though, on a side note, because I've spoken to Renzi about this. And he was telling me at one point a few weeks ago that in the game's files, there is a listing for characters to have a secondary transformation. I thought that it would be potentially, I think it's possible that Shallot could get that, but it's more unlikely than possible because when you look at Shallot's customization, you do have access to a multitude of spots in which they're all like Super Saiyan 1, and then there's a whole bunch of space to the side. Obviously, you choose his transformation. But this is interesting because it could tie in to what we're going to talk about next. We could potentially, long story short, see characters that double transform, basically. Like Base Vegito into Super Saiyan Blue. So keep that in mind. That's something that could be on the table for the anniversary. That type of data is basically in the game's files already. So there's something you guys need to be aware of that could be a part of what we see happen, long story short. I'm not saying that I think Gogeta Blue will come. I'll talk about that more momentarily. But regardless, that's something that is, in fact, on the table. But nonetheless, Charlotte will be going SS2 and all that comes with that. Hopefully the man gets a pretty significant buff if they're going to keep him a hero card forever. I mean, they got to at least make him extreme. Anyways, so for this next part, we're going to chronicle the banners that have come out on the game in the last year, right? We're going to go through these banners and kind of, I'm going to use that to build up to what I think could potentially release on the game and a little bit of why, right, for the anniversary. I think there's a few good options. So if we look back, we have all the way back here, Ultra Space Time Summon number 1, the launch banner, Ultra Space Time 2, and then we get into some of these other fluff banners, Space Time 3, 4. Now, these right here are where things kind of change a bit. For one, I do think the anniversary banner will be a step-up banner, not in the vein of this one. This one was handled very weirdly. It didn't reset and stuff like that. The first one and the most recent one have been handled kind of weirdly, I would say. But anyways, I do think the anniversary banner will be a step-up, so that makes this one relevant, right? But other than that, Space Time 5 introduced our first viewing of Buu Saga characters, right? So prior to that, we had only gotten like Cell Saga and earlier characters. So we got our first Buu Saga characters. Now, up until this point, as you can see, there was a trend. They were going in a chronological order for this series, and they still kind of do this. But around then is when they kind of stopped caring a little bit later. As we jump into, as you see, some more Buu Saga stuff, but random Goku Black right on the banner. And we move on, more Buu Saga stuff for Space Time 6. And then we have the Broly stuff come out for the movie release as well. And we move on. We get another step up here. Now, at this point, they actually went all the way back to Kaioken. Now, this is something that they had done in between. So, I don't know if I've kind of scrolled past it. I should have by now, or it's really close. But anyways, for some of these Legends banners, the Legends Risings and Step Ups or whatever, they did go back and bring characters that they skipped out of time. So that immediately puts characters they skipped on the table for the anniversary. A character like Full Power Frieza. They brushed through that part of the story, but did not produce a Full Power Frieza card. At the time, they brushed through the Cell Saga, did not produce a Father-Son Kamehameha Gohan. They just had the regular SS2 Gohan. That, again, they did go back and backtrack. At the time, there was no Kaioken Goku. They brushed past that. They went back and backtracked and, in fact, added him and a Vegeta to go alongside it. But here they're, again, proceeding a little bit more because there's that random, Dragon Ball Super character back there, just like the Goku Black. So they're doing a little bit of the same thing. They go back for Space Time 7, some Buu Saga stuff, I guess, because Goku SS2 is there to counteract the Majin Vegeta that came out prior. Anyway, we proceed from here. We get some more all-over-the-place characters, and then some more recent characters, and then just, we go from there. More recent characters coupled with the original Dragon Ball Z, Future Gohan, and stuff like that. So at this time, they were not going in a particular order. They're just kind of dropping stuff, trying to hype the game up. Then we go back to the Buu Saga for Space Time 10, by the way, after SSG Vegeta. And since Space Time 10, I would say, we've been back in the Buu Saga stuff. So since the release of Ultimate Gohan, SS3, and then also the Rage Vegeta, who's still not Buu Saga, but bear with me. For the most part, we've been back. We had the Gogeta Blue drop, but that's all movie stuff. I don't really blame them for that. But let's go ahead and proceed here. We get SS2 Gohan's release, STR type. STR, too much Dokkan. Red. And we do, again, drop the GT stuff. So they go back and forth. Then we get more Buu Saga stuff. And we go all the way up to where we are now. I would actually, it's not technically the Buu Saga. But for example, and for good reason, actually, Dokkan, since we already mentioned it, does label these types of characters in the Buu Saga simply because these iterations of the characters did actually take place in that saga. So if I'm going to continue the trend of quote-unquote Buu Saga stuff, our most recent content is that. But what I want to say is, if we're going to get Buu Saga, there are some characters that are missing. It's really interesting that we have Ultimate Gohan, we have the SS3 Gotenks, we have Super Buu. So immediately, what comes to mind is, like I said, Full Power Frieza is definitely on the table. If we're sticking with a chronological order, I think the most likely scenario is we get a Buuhan and a Vegito. I think that's the most likely scenario. I think Buhan and Vegito make the absolute most sense for the anniversary release on the banner. Now, that doesn't mean they're the only new characters. There could be a third. Hopefully, there's a third. But, you know, on a side note, back to Dokkan really quick. They include those types of characters, even the Dragon Fist Gokus from Wrath of the Dragon, again, because it's from that time period, that period in time. Make it in there, but the villains don't. Like, Broly's not in there. Gogeta's not in there from Fusion Reborn and stuff. Whatever. So I guess Dokkan's not a great reference, but still, long story short, it's all kind of in the same bubble of timeline, right? But anyways, Buhan and Vegito make the most sense, and probably an EX or another Sparking, I guess. Boo Tanks if they want to do that, right? But what I would say is another Sparking Piccolo makes sense too, but that doesn't sound... Vegito sounds hype enough. The rest of it, not so much. So there's a good chance they drop a few of those characters on a banner, or they do what they could potentially do. Keep in mind, this is a possibility, is do one banner and then a second banner as part of the anniversary, where like the first banner drops, I don't know, let's just say full power Frieza and another Super Saiyan Goku from Namek, right? A Rage Goku, whatever the case is. They have some really good opportunity for something like that. Let's say they do that. Then part 2 is Vegito and somebody else. Now, they don't have to necessarily stick in chronological order. They compare Vegito alongside a character like, if they wanted to really do it, Gogeta Blue. But the concept of Gogeta Blue has been held off on for mainly one reason and one reason only. From everybody I've talked to that has any sort of influence in this community and or also can hear kind of like that info on the back end about what this game is doing and like what their plan is, what the release schedule is, everybody's kind of told me the same thing, that they don't really have plans on releasing Blue Gogeta, or Vegito for that matter, prior to Goku and Vegeta Blue. So what that means to me is we could get something like Goku and Vegeta Blue alongside Golden Frieza, and you can make it the Resurrection F variants, because we already have technically Battle of Gods stuff. Even though the Beerus and Goku are from the anime, not the movie, you could make it Resurrection F stuff and make it from the anime or whatever you want to do. And it would fit well with what we already have anyway, right? And you'd shore up that God Key team as well, and you're good. So they could do something like that. I think that's probably one of the bigger things that's on the table as well, is the Blue Duo and Golden Frieza potentially, right? I think that's a really good option as well. But again, one thing is for sure, I don't think they're dropping any other Blue characters until those two are at least in the game. Conceptually, they want them in the game first, because really, they could have dropped Gogeta Blue at any time. And let's be honest, they know that postponing Gogeta Blue, it doesn't really matter, because people will spend and whatever for it whenever it drops. So that being said, those are some of my main candidates. I think, again, either we stick to where we are, we stick with Boo Saga stuff when we're good, or if they really want to, here's a wild card. Here's a really, really wild card. If they want to do the two-part thing, the first part can be Resurrection F based, and then the second part can be something like Fusion Zamasu and Vegito Blue. That would be incredible, right? That would be incredible. So I'm just excited for this. Again, nothing I said in this video is confirmed or factual. It's just all conjecture. But regardless, I hope it was a fun discussion. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a thumbs up. Again, let me know in the comments how you guys feel about this, what you want to see, what you expect. Do they dare go UI and Jiren? I don't know. Have an awesome day, and I'll catch all of you in the next one.